Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. With theatrical aplomb, with professional parlance, with musical magniloquence, we present our Broadway in microcosm, a footlight fantasy into the world of musical theatre. And precipitating this extravaganza, the St. Joseph's Light Operatic Society's Music Hall Revelers. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is pure entertainment.
All trying not to laugh. Since the early caveman in this bird took a trip to Gretna Green, there's always been a photographer to record the happy scene. Oh, we press back for the picture, we put a picture on the map. For all the black water, and for all the clouds, for back, hang on, make next round. What a picture, on the several wives, including Anne Boleyn, and he kept an album of their lives with all their photos in. When Anne Boleyn was on her knees, dressed in her very best frock, King Henry shouted, "Smoke it, please," as her head rolled off the block. Oh, it was back for the picture, what did you want to have? Something across her head and came to the back. What a picture of the young When Napoleon was saying that just the same to do, he galloped over from Waterloo. As he came stacking off his horse to the boudoir where she said to him, "It's French, of course," as he took of his big cocktail.
They've got a zing, they've got a zest tonight. That's hard to decipher. I think they're back in home territory, because tonight we're guests of St. Joseph's PTA, funds going to the primary school. By golly, we'll be able to put a new roof, I think, with the numbers we have tonight. And gracing our audience, our own principal, Sister Mari. What about a hand? Actually, Sister Mari said, "Now, would you mind mentioning my name first in the program, and then I can settle down and enjoy it." All right, yes, all the angles. On camera, there was Kevin Knowles, backed by the exuberant chorus from Half of Sixpence, Flash, Bang, Wallop. Well, we're going to see how good you are now. You've seen how good we are. We're going to see how good you are. Lights on, thank you, Wendy, because it's songbook time. And we're going to sing first, How You Gonna Keep 'Em Down on the Farm. Sister Mari said if you sing up well and if you have children at school, you may have your fees doubled. You heard about the two podiatrists, didn't you? They were arch rivals. But they were dear hearts and gentle people.
Yeah.
high on... Oh, let's give them a clap, shall we, cast? They're not doing too badly. Probably rating pretty high in your sing-along numbers is the next one. She'll be coming round the mountain when she comes. Tremendous, absolutely tremendous. And before the cast off stage, we've been singing along with the Archers. Remember the Archers program of some years ago? Well, their grandchildren are here tonight, enjoying themselves. Okay, we won't mention them by name, will we, Humphreys? Nothing, absolutely nothing can compare with a baby show. A comprehensive, collective, caterwauling cacophony of claustrophobic and cocooned kids. Reliving this George Formby epic, and with live props, is our comedian Mike Hammersley and the Baby Show.
From there and kissed its gloomy face. Hear them hollering at the baby show. Lots of dolly ones, lots of jolly ones, laid out in the row. We got babies from the Everglades, we got babies from the Pyrenees, down on the Romans, the shakies, all singing eeny, meeny, miny, mo. These Canadians, Russian Canadians, Pumpkins, Canadians, various vegetarians, Presbyterians at the baby show. Hear them hollering at the baby show. Lots of 50 ones laid out in a row. We had babies from Iberia, we had babies with hysteria, we had babies from Siberia, all singing eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Rosarians, Cincinnatians, Gatesonians, Ducks and Carians, Presbyterians and Sudburyarians at the baby show, that's all.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have adoption papers here up on my clipboard. If anybody would like to adopt any of these three or all of these three children, it will save us further embarrassment during the series. At the baby show with Mike Hamsley. Composers and playwrights inevitably turn to Shakespeare for added inspiration. Even the sophisticated Cole Porter proved no exception. From The Taming of the Shrew, he saw the potential for the stunning musical Kiss Me Kate. The blended voices now of Robin Allender and Alan Papish with the time-honoured Wunderbar. Kiss Me Kate, Wunderbar, Robin Allender and Alan Papish. Ladies and gentlemen, time now for our renowned razzmatazz musician, our syncopating celebrity himself, Mr. Banjo Bojangles. Plaudits please for Rex Hills. recognised as one of the finest exponents of the banjo in New Zealand, Rex Hills. And now the chorus returns. Lyrics tell of a tropic shore washed by sun and sea, and a tall, tanned maiden who swings like a gentle samba along the sands. In its own idiom, now a jazz standard. Haunting rhythms mark the movements of the girl from Ipanema. The popular Greek composer Hadjidakis caught the flamboyant romance of the legendary Isles of Greece and the Aegean Sea, bringing to the world this film-featured song, becoming world-renowned. The subtle rhythms of love. So on your cuddle calendar, it's never on Sunday.
You can kiss me on a Monday, a Monday, a Monday, it's very, very cool.
You can kiss me on a Tuesday, a Tuesday, a Tuesday, in fact I wish you would.
You can kiss me on a Wednesday, a Thursday, a Friday, a Saturday, it's best. But never, never on a Sunday, a Sunday, a Sunday, 'cause
And as the chorus goes off stage, in just a minute or two, we'll be bringing you the early evening news. And just a reminder, while I was listening to the BBC broadcast last evening, it's often hard to sleep before we do a show the following night, so I listened to the overseas network. There was a strange news item presented in the British Parliament, and Margaret Thatcher was explaining that this mystery had now been solved. The huge chimney that was built in the middle of the Sahara, you may recall, was finally explained by Mrs. Thatcher last evening in the House of Commons. Apparently, the Irish engineer Paddy O'Feeney read the plans upside down. It was meant to have been a well. So now that's been all explained. The time is 8 minutes past 8. Time for the early evening news and stories backgrounding the local news.
So Mr. Mike Moore has just announced that the first meeting of the new Labour Party caucus will be held on Monday in the telephone box in Victoria Square.
There was drama aplenty at the Regent Theatre last evening. A man in the front seat of the cinema was groaning loudly during a tender love scene on the screen. The audience hissed and told him to shut up, but still he continued making dreadful noises. Eventually the manager was called. The manager marched down the aisle to the noisy man and demanded he leave the theatre. The man refused, making dreadful oohs, ahs and uggs. "Where are you from?" demanded the manager. The man finally got it out and stuttered, "I'm from the circle." You can explain that to the person next to you.
Now here is a police message. Scotland Yard wished to trace a go-go girl named Lulu who had a heyday last May Day. She put a voodoo on a Zulu when she danced the can-can on a tom-tom, wearing only a tutu with a pom-pom going ding-dong. And she was last heard of having a bit of yo-ho on a lilo and going bye-byes with some mai tais.
Today, a middle-aged woman, Mrs. Agatha Crimpleton, boarded a Christchurch bus with 3 sets of twins trailing behind her. When finally they were all seated in the bus, the inspector, who was watching the performance, inquired, "Do you always get twins?" "Oh no," replied the woman. "Hundreds of times we don't get anything."
Fleigelman's jewellery store in Colombo Street was robbed today. The proprietor, Mr. Isaac Fleigelman, rang the police. "You wouldn't believe it," he exclaimed. "I was robbed by an elephant." "By what?" said the police officer. "An elephant," said the jeweller. "A big truck pulled up in front of the store, an elephant got out, broke the store window with his trunk, took all the jewellery and left." Now then, said the officer, "I shall have to get down some facts about this. Now you realise that an elephant from India has short ears and an African elephant has long ears. Now which sort was it?" "How the hell do I know?" screamed Fleigelman. "He had a bloody great stocking over his head."
Former Minister of Defence Bob Tizard, noted for his bad temper, was driving along a narrow New Zealand country road yesterday when he saw another car approaching. Quickly pulling over to one side to avoid a collision, he noticed the other car was driven by a red-faced woman driver who, as she passed, wound down her window and shouted, "Pig!" Not to be outdone, Tizard bad-temperedly shouted, "Stupid cow!" and then drove off round the bend and ran over a pig.
And yesterday, Mr. Conrad Trellis celebrated 60 years of non-drinking, non-gambling celibacy. Today he was run over by a beer tanker that had swerved to avoid a man carrying a poker machine out of a massage parlour.
And now a true story from National Geographic. 2 rabbits, Arctic rabbits, were running away from a pack of wolves. One rabbit said to the other, "Let's dive down this hole and wait till we outnumber them." And the other rabbit said, "Keep running, I'm your brother."
And a Merivale woman complains to her doctor recently of severe discomfort and pain in her groin area every time that it was a rainy day. The doctor couldn't understand this, so he asked her to call next time that it rained. So on the next rainy day, she duly called into the surgery, and he got her to stand up on the surgery table. He then peered under her skirt and said, yes, I see." He went away, obtained a pair of scissors, came back, put his head under the skirt again, and she could hear the scissors going snip, 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 snip. After some moments, the doctor emerged and asked her to step down off the table and walk around the room. "Has the pain gone?" he asked. "Why, yes," said the good lady. "But, doctor, what did you do?" "Oh," said the doctor, "I just snipped a good 2 inches off the tops of your gumboots."
And now, an interest story from the Papanui Play Centre. A little lad named Tommy noticed a bulge in Mummy's tummy. "What's that, Mummy?" he asked. "It's a baby," she replied, thinking it best to tell the truth and not fob him off with any gooseberry bush nonsense. "Where did you get it?" Tommy asked. "Daddy gave it to me," his mother replied. So the little boy went to his father. "Daddy, did you give Mummy a baby?" "Yes, son, I did," said father frankly. "Well, don't give her any more. She's eaten it."
And a teacher at in the infant classes at Papanui Primary School asked her pupils yesterday what their fathers did for a living. "My father's a plumber, miss," said little Henry. "Very good," said the teacher, and wrote plumber on the blackboard. "My father's a storeman, miss," said young Albert. "Very good," said the teacher, and wrote storeman on the board. "And what does your father do, Sammy?" she asked a third child. "Oh, my father's dead, miss," said Sammy. "Oh, I'm sorry to hear that," said the teacher. "But what did he do before he died?" "He went, ah."
And finally, in this early evening news and stories backgrounding the news, last week Mrs. Forsythia Botting, wife of Rear Admiral Botting, entered her dentist's surgery in an obvious state of agitation. She fidgeted nervously as the dentist prepared his utensils. "Oh, doctor," she mumbled, as the dentist peered into her mouth, "I'm so nervous. You know, I'd rather have a baby than have a tooth drilled." "Well," retorted the dentist impatiently, "you better make up your mind before I adjust the chair."
And that rather unusual position brings us to the end of the early evening news.
From the spectacular production of Les Miserables, the sensitive artistry of Helen Powell, and the romantic, dream-laden ballad of a love that's unreturned. From the magnificent score of this current record-breaking Broadway musical, Helen Powell and A Love That's On My Own.
On my own, pretending he's beside me. All alone, I walk with him till morning. Without him, I feel And I know it's only in my mind that I'm talking to myself and not to him. And I know, although that he is blind, still I say there's a way for us. I love him, but when the night is over, he is gone. The river's just a river. Without him, the world around me changes. The trees are barren everywhere, the streets are full of strangers. I love him, but every day I'm learning. All my life I've only been pretending. Without me, his world will go on turning. A world that's full of happiness that I have never known. I love him. I love him. I love him, but only on my
Helen Powell from Les Miserables, a love that's on my own. The recent film Beaches will best be remembered for its haunting theme interwoven into the very fabric of the production. Rosalie Ellen contralto and John Burrell bass, two rich voices, blend and delightfully delineate the theme from Beaches, the wind beneath my wings.
Must have been cold there in my shadow to never have sunlight on your face. You'd be content to let me shine. You always walked the step behind. I was the one with all the glory, while you were the one with all the strength. Only a face without a name. I never once heard you complain. Did you ever know that you're my hero? And everything I'd like to be. I could fly higher than an eagle. You are the wind beneath my wings. It might have appeared to go unnoticed, but I've got it all here in my heart. I want you to know I know the truth. I would be nothing without you. Did you ever know that you're my hero? And everything I'd like to be. I can fly higher than an eagle. You are the wind beneath my wings. You are the wind beneath my
The lovely theme from Beaches, The Wind Beneath My Wings, John Barrell and Rosalie Allen. Ladies and gentlemen, the spotlight's been on politics recently with all its leadership struggles, particularly over the last few years of the former political regime. This recording was initially recorded by Louis Armstrong and Frank Sinatra, and I would like to rewrite the lyrics and dedicate this song to the present state of New Zealand politics. It's called Mac the Knife. David Longy, now he had class. The media drove him out of gas. He told the caucus, the party's over. I've been hacked out by Mac the Knife. Jeffrey Palmer, now he was sane, an intellectual, over-legal brain, but TV smiling was not his forte, so he was hacked out by Mac the Knife. Then we had more, or was it less? Did he save us? Well, you can guess. And his fate sealed just like the others, to be hacked out by Mac the Knife. Now Jim Folger's top of the pile. That's a saying, this PM's got style. But wait a moment, who's that peeping? Is that you, Winston, with Mac the Knife? A shadow's creeping along the wall, down the stairway, right into the hall. Is it Ruthie, and what's she holding? The blade is flashing, oh, it's Mac the Knife. There's a moral, I'll tell you what. If you've got it, then you've got someone looking right from your shoulder. He's getting bolder, he's Mac the Knife. Someone looking from your shoulder. He's getting bolder, he's Mac the Knife. I could be arrested. Ladies and gentlemen, Broadway boasted the huge spectaculars and extravaganzas of the 30s with all its glitter, glamour, glitz and gloss, epitomizing the musical vivacity of this period against the drab backdrop of the Great Depression is this number from the Gold Diggers of 1935 and grafted into the big new current production of 42nd Street. Who could forget the incomparable Lullaby of Broadway? What a magnificent chorus line. Cities have always ranked high on pop composers' file of inspirational ideas for song titles. And as the lights go up, we're going to have a geographical sing-along walking the streets of San Francisco, Chicago, and St. Louis. But first, it's Robert Allender escorting us through San Francisco. You're singing marvelously down there. And now the other city centre is Chicago. And Katie and Rex. And now finally it's Meet Me in St. Louis. And how about a warm round of St. Joe's applause as they proceed off stage and we wait for the next surprise. privileged to witness a short rehearsal scene we could call a loss for words, as two aspiring and ageing Shakespearean actors, rejected from the court theatre, are definitely under-rehearsed. Ladies and gentlemen, a loss for words.
Here with my subjects, see me newly crowned, the rightful king and ruler of the realm, a title thus bestowed upon this most royal head. And yet I fear that some contest my crown, and thus bestow me in affairs of state. That I wit not who my adversaries are, and now my bastard brother, I suspect, and this same hour is... firing rebel frenzy, and cries to see me dead. See, here he comes, and covetously piercing at my crown.
Good day, brother, and England's worthy king. How appears his majesty today? See, I... Hear my head and homage to a crown.
Good day, brother. Why dost thou hang thy head upon such a joyful meeting?
Why do I hang my head? Ah, yes. I'm said, brother, that you must die if I'm to seize a throne.
My throne. Ah, my throne. My throne, which I barely held me steal your hand. And thou shalt seek to steal it from me?
Yes. I've come to seize the throne and place the crown on my own head.
Hast thou raised an army to depose me? Hast thou raised an army? Would thou raise an army? To challenge my title to the throne. Come now, brother, kiss the royal ring and make peace.
Ah, give me thy hand. But only that I may bid you last farewell.
Strasbourg! That can't be right. Oh, stars! That shine so bright in the night. Send down thy warm hammer fate to preserve thy crown.
Walkers and sword, make us a fine steel. Big one. Why can't you draw your sword against my head?
Because I cover your kingdom. Why do you draw your sword against your king?
Because I covered your kingdom, and I'll give my life to win it. Here, shows your mettle. If thou would be king, strong enough to pierce a crazy heart, then punch the bitch in thy very wound. Now see, you little bitch.
I want mum. Oh. Sorry. Yes, I will kill you. If thereby the rightful king shall keep his crown.
Ah! You wounded me. In the arm.
Come, roll up thy sleeve, so I may see the cruel scar that I've drawn upon me. Ah! I'm stuck to the ground!
And the boot is on the other foot. The boot is on the other foot. Well, now your choice is fixed. Dwayne, death, and abdication.
The game is lost! The throne is thine! my royal seals. But let me live. The crown is thine. Good day, brother, and England's worthy king. Good night, you bastard. I vow you serve on my birthright. But be warned, for soon it shall be mine again. For you see the writing is on the wall.
I see no writing on the wall.
Now this wall. Where's the writing on the wall? Where's the bloody writing?
Pete Lively and Les Bachelor. A loss for words. Magnificent. Ladies and gentlemen, a gem from the classics and a song now which weaves a web of enchantment. Our two fine artists, Helen Powell, soprano, and Rosalie Allen, contralto, two voices sheathed in lovely harmony, and the glorious Barcarolle from the Tales of Hoffmann. From the Tales of Hoffmann, Helen Powell, soprano, and Rosalie Allen, contralto. Ladies and gentlemen, we take pride now in presenting on stage to you our special guest artist this evening. To bathe you in sensual sound, to plunge you into the very pluralisms of profound perfection. The fine operatic voice of Ralph, and from Paint Your Wagon, they call the wind Mariah.
Broadway show The Music Man was based on events in Mason City, Iowa, when the composer Meredith Willson was a child. This brilliant show is renowned for its barbershop quartet, and tonight with Helen Powell, the St. Joe's Quartet woo the attentions of Lyda Rose.
Lyda Rose, I'm home again, Rose, to get the sun back in the sky. Lyda Rose, I'm home again, Rose, about 1,000 kisses shy. Ding dong ding, I can hear the chapel bells chime. Ding dong ding, at the least suggestion, I'll pop a question. Lyda Rose, I'm home again, Rose, without a sweetheart to my name. Lyda Rose, now everyone knows that I'm hoping you're the same. So here is my love song, not fancy or fine. Lyda Rose, oh, won't you be mine? Lyda Rose, oh, Lyda Rose, oh, Lyda Rose.
Lila Rose. Now to display the accompaniment of Andy Simmons' running bass, it's the quartet to sing the Dark Town Strutting Falls.
Got an invitation to a dance, so quick for you I'll be down to get you in the taxi.
Two great numbers there from St. Joe's Quartet. And Helen Powell on the quartet singing Lila Rose from Meredith Wilson's wonderful show, The Music Man. And followed, of course, by Dark Town Strutters Falls. And the members of the quartet are Alan Pappas, John Burrell, Lois James, and Paul Gregory. The fitting finale to the first half of our program, an original French melody with English lyrics written by Paul Anka that won universal acclaim. A popular ballad that lends itself to a sophisticated choral arrangement. Ladies and gentlemen, Paul Gregory conducts the concert version of My Way.
Thank you, Mike. Just before we start, we'd like to dedicate the song to a member of our society whose untimely death occurred just a couple of days ago, Sid Nicholson, a staunch and very loyal member of our society, of our music hall and our major productions in the Repertory Theatre. We dedicate the song to Sid.
So I face the final curtain.
sung by us, especially for Sid, may he rest in peace. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for your kind attention to the first half of our program. You've been a lovely, warm and responsive audience, as always at St Joe's, and we look forward to seeing you again soon in the second half. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's curtains up, and on stage heralding the hits of Hello Dolly. It's the full chorus line with the sheer excitement generated as the irrepressible, incomparable Dolly Levi returns. The chorus line and Hello Dolly. The charms and delights of womanhood in a masculine expose, masterfully manoeuvred by Yonkers hay and feed magnate Horace Vandergelder. Fresh from the stage production of Hello Dolly, here's Kevin Knowles with Entourage, It Takes a Woman.
Oh, yes, it takes a woman, a
Kevin Knowles' Van der Gelder in It Takes a Woman. Two great songs from the show Hello Dolly, which of course was in July of this year. Hello Dolly and It Takes a Woman. Ladies and gentlemen, featured in the film Sun Valley Serenade and the Glenn Miller Story, here now is an up-tempo jazz pop, penned in wartime by Harry Warren and recorded by the illustrious Big Miller Band. It's our swinging sextet with dancers Shirley, Glenys and Heather in Life Locomotion, Chattanooga Choo-Choo. And the swinging sextet, Betty, Robin, Lois, Marty, Rosalie and Miriam. Chattanooga Choo-Choo. Well, it's House Lights On. And we're going to have a bracket now featuring water. Songs from the sea, tunes from the tide, and rhymes from the river. It's our audience sing-along, and with Phil Oates exuberating and extolling the virtues of the rowboat and romance, first it's Row, Row, Row. Okay, here's another one from the early musical days. Oh, I do like to be beside the seaside. And our two very gritty girls there were Lois and Robin. Take a bow. Actually, that's the first time they've showed their ankles in public. I'm sure there's going to be a repercussion in this in the papers. Next, ladies and gentlemen, it's Down by the Riverside. And convert yourselves a glass or two of sarsaparilla after those three rather hectic row, row, row. Oh, I do like to be beside the seaside and down by the riverside. Now, ladies and gentlemen, to Leonard Bernstein and captivating music from West Side Story. It's our modern Romeo and Juliet and the Puerto Ricans trading up into the brash fast lane. It's all there with John Burrell and the male chorus, America. And the male chorus and America. Ladies and gentlemen, featured in a Steven Spielberg film just being released now in New Zealand, there's a full animated screen drama of a family of Russian mice leaving cruel Tsarist Russia for a new life in America. One of the youngest members of the family becomes separated and lost. From the stunning film production entitled An American TAIL, the nostalgic song you've heard on radio, Bettine and I would like to sing you the duet, Somewhere Out There. Thank you, Betty. Somewhere out there. Ladies and gentlemen, it is time for a number from Guys and Dolls. From the era of the gambling 30s, with its prohibition and booze running, I give you now those engaging, enrapturing enchantresses of song, goddess of the golden epiglottis. The hotbox girls from the show Guys and Dolls. Remember, a bushel and a peck.
I love you, a bushel and a peck, a bushel and a peck, and a hug around the neck, a hug around the neck, and a wrap around the feet, a wrap around the feet, and a talk in the sleep about you, about you, about you. No, I'm sleeping, I'm having trouble sleeping, 'cause I love you, a bushel and a peck, you bet your money that I do.
Those steamy, sassy, saucy girls, actually, they brought the downturn of farming in the United States with their lack of agricultural aptitude. They were marvellous, a bushel of a peck and the chorus line. Ladies and gentlemen, now it's sing-along time, thank you Wendy, inviting you to revel in the rich, roto-sysmatic rhythms and riotously render Lily the Pink. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we've done about, I suppose, 8 or 9 shows, something like that anyway, and with our next number, we've always had somebody willing to pop onto the floor and do an Ease Up Mother Brown. And for anybody who would like to do an Ease Up Mother Brown while we sing it, we have 2 tickets to Hello Dolly, our last show in July, with a souvenir program. So, here it is. Let's see if somebody in St. Joe's will do an Ease Up. We haven't been disappointed anywhere, have we? There's always been something. Okay, so it's Knees Up, Mother Brown. Come on! Knees Up, Mother Brown! Come on! sex was the quiet retiring type. You know, at every other show we've done, we've only had one person come out on the floor. We've had two tonight, which shows that you're twice as good as any audience that we've ever had. And we've got a St John's ambulance person in the vestibule, if you would like a little bit of extra oxygen. Okay, here it is, Tiny Kangaroo Dance Sport. Three tremendous numbers, Lily the Pink, Knees Up Mother Brown and Tiny Kangaroo Dance Sport. Ladies and gentlemen, we present with pleasure our guest artist tonight, a man of rare talent in the recording field and a person who knows his recording techniques too. And the songs that he'll be singing, it's Andrew Sammy will be singing in Elton John's Your Song and Eric Clapton's Lay Down Sally. Ladies and gentlemen, Andrew Sammy.
It's a little bit funny.
Andrew Sammy. Two super songs there. Your Song by Elton John and Lay Down Sally. Andrew Sammy. Ladies and gentlemen, now that honorable historiographer of hilarity, that kaleidoscopic king of comedy from Kilkenny, it's Kevin Knowles.
If you're Irish, there's a world over there for you. If you're so long as you can provide it, there's a world around the world. If you come from the Irish lakes of blue, let's sing the song and make the bus. We'll live in the wild and whatnot. The Irish is the place for you. Hello! Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome again to the land of 1,000 smiles. Ha ha! Casey went to the doctor the other day. He said, I'm very worried about my wife. She thinks she's a chicken. The doctor says, how long's this been going on? Casey said, about 12 months. The doctor said, well, why didn't you bring it to me sooner? Casey said, we needed the eggs. Went to the doctor myself the other day. There's a fella sitting there in the waiting room. He's sitting beside me. He's wearing a corset. I said, how long have you been wearing a corset? He said, ever since my wife found it in the car. Frank went to the barber's the other day. He said, I want you to cut my hair like Robert Redford. And the barber cut Flanagan's hair, and he shaved him bald. And Flanagan looked in the mirror, and he said, but Robert Redford doesn't have his hair cut like this. And the barber says, he does if he comes in here. There's an Englishman, an Irishman, and a Scotsman. They're trying to get into the Commonwealth Games without buying a ticket. The Englishman's name is Bentley, the Scotsman's name is McGregor, and the Irishman's name is Murphy. Nearly the Englishman gets this brilliant idea to get in without a ticket. Now there's a long wooden pole lying on the ground, and he picks it up, puts it under his arm, walks up to the gatekeeper, and he says, Bentley, England, pole vaulting. And they let him in. And there's a round discus with manhole cover lying on the ground, and the Scotsman picks it up, puts it under his arm, walks up to the gatekeeper, and he says, McGregor, Scotland, discus. And they let him in. There's a roll of barbed wire lying on the ground. Murphy picks it up, puts it under his arm, walks up to the gatekeeper, and he says, Murphy, iron, fencing. Oh, you lovely here tonight, Father Murphy, here, sir. Father Murphy was having his sick call. And he goes on Seamus O'Casey, who's lying on a sick bed dying. And he says to Seamus, he says, I want you to announce the devil. I want you to tell him that frail voice of yours you can from that body lying on your bed, that he's to hate the devil and he's a dirty old man. Seamus says, be Godfather, this was a bad time to be making enemies. Murphy went to the garage the other day. He said to the attendant, fill her up. And the attendant says, we don't sell petrol at all. Murphy says, well, I'll have a couple of pints of oil then. The attendant says, we don't sell oil either. And Murphy says, well, what do you do? The attendant says, we're fronting for the IRA. Right, says Murphy, blow up the tires. Talking about Murphy. He's been out in Arana Park for 20 years looking after the African elephant. And I was out there the other day, and he's sitting on the ground, and he's crying his eyes out. I says, good God, I says, good God, what's the matter with you? I said, it's the elephant, he said. He died at 8 o'clock this morning. Well, I said, I'm sorry to hear that, but I didn't know you and the elephant were so close. He says, we're not, but I gotta bury it. Casey went to Murphy's pet shop to buy a canary. He said the canary must be a good singer. So Murphy puts this cage on the counter, and the canary inside it begins to sing beautifully. And Murphy says, Casey said I should say, he said, I'll take it.
And just then, he noticed that the bird had only got one leg. Yes, this bird's only got one leg. Matty says, do you want a singer or a dancer? Seamus went to buy a pair of shoes the other day, a new pair of shoes, and he's trying them on. The attendant says, well, how are they? And Seamus says, they're a bit tight. The attendant says, well, try them with the tongue out. And Seamus says, a little bit pipe on. I was in a taxi the other day. Oh yes. The driver was Seamus O'Shaughnessy. He nearly killed me. Every red traffic light we come to, we drove right to it without stopping. I said, surely to God you're supposed to stop in a red traffic light. No, he said, never do. He said, it's a lot of nonsense. He said, my brother in Limerick City, he's got 6 taxis. He never stops at red traffic lights. He says it's a lot of nonsense, and on we went. The next set of traffic lights we come to, they suddenly turn green. O'Shaughnessy slams on the brakes, and he went for the windscreen. I said, what the devil are you doing stopping at a green traffic light? Oh, he says, we've got to be careful. He says, my brother might be coming the other way. I'd love to be out there and see people I was in a train going to Killarney the other day with Casey. We're sitting in this train. This woman comes on with this poodle dog, and she puts it on the seat beside her. Just then, this big American fella comes on, and he says to the woman, would you mind shifting the dog so I can sit down? And the woman says, no, she said, I paid for its fare, the dog stays. And with that, this big American fella, he picks up the dog and he hurls it out the train window. And this woman, she beats him over the head, and they're going there, and Casey's sitting there. He says, I can't understand these Americans at all, he says. He says, they eat their meat in their fork in their right hand. He says, they drive on the wrong side of the road. And just now that fella threw the wrong bitch out the window. There was this big circus in Killarney recently, and this big elephant had escaped from the circus, and it ended up in Maggie Murphy's backyard. Anyway, Maggie Murphy goes out to hang out the washing this morning, and she'd never seen the like of it. She calls out to her husband, Pat, she says, come out here quickly. She says, there's a funny-looking animal, and he's picking up all the potatoes with his tail. And Pat says, what's he doing with them? And then he says, if I told you, you wouldn't believe me. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much. Just before I go, I better sing you a little song so we can all settle down again. It's called, and I like it, and I hope you like it, it's called Country Boy. Thank you.
She'll marry me, 'cause I know she'll turn me
Except no substitute, that was Kevin Knowles. From Stephen Sondheim's A Little Night Music, the quiet, self-facing cynicism of a relationship shattered, a love deserted. It's Rosalie Ellen interpreting with such artistic integrity the dramatic Send in the Clouds. Rosalie Ellen, Send in the Clouds. Another command performance by popular edict, the educated flying fingers of that virtuoso supreme, Mr. Banjo, Bojangles, Rex Hills.
Thank
Rexhills, Whispering and Cuddle Up a Little Closer. And now a duet recorded by one of the top operatic tenors of our age, Placido Domingo and the current pop singer and composer, John Denver. This unlikely combination produced not only much comment, but a big hit. Talented Helen Powell and Kevin Knowles now present the lyrical John Denver composition, sung by Placido and he, Perhaps Love.
It invites you to come closer, it wants to show you more. And even if you lose yourself and don't know what to do, the memory of love will see you through.
Oh, love to some is like a cloud, to some is strong and steep.
For some a way of living, for some a way to feel.
Some say love is holding on, and some say letting go. And some say love is everything, some say they don't know.
Perhaps love is like the ocean, full of conflict, full of pain, like fire when it's cold outside, thunder when it rains. If I should live forever and all my dreams come true, my memories of love will be all you. Some say love is holding on, some say letting go.
And some say love is everything, some say they don't know.
Perhaps love is like the ocean, full of conflict, full of pain, like fire when it's cold outside, thunder when it rains. If I should live forever and all my dreams come true, my memories of love will be all you.
Helen Powell, Kevin Knowles with that lovely composition, Perhaps Love. Ladies and gentlemen, the time is almost 10:20. Time now to present the late news and stories surrounding the news.
The Buckingham Palace Security Police reported today that one of the Queen's Rolls Royces is missing. Prince Philip thinks it's the plugs.
There is a severe water shortage in the remote western areas of New South Wales. Yesterday, a bushfire broke out, and because of a lack of water, a local brewer diverted a full beer tanker to Wollabora. After the firefighters had drunk all the beer, they then proceeded to put the fire out.
Mrs. Agatha Ponsonby of Burnside asked her husband this morning whether he minded if she had a sex change. What for, he asked. I want to change, she replied, from Tuesday to Wednesday because I'm going to Housley on Tuesday.
Last Wednesday, during the warm temperatures enjoyed in Christchurch, an attractive blonde servicewoman on leave from Burnham went into Orana Park, stripped off all her clothes, and when about to step naked into the lake, was accosted by the Orana Park gamekeeper. "Are you game?" he asked. "Oh yes," she replied. So he shot her.
And Mr. Arnold Tweeter, the celebrated bird doctor, retired today after an outstandingly successful career with our feathered friends. Among his more notable successes were a parrot, which he cured of stuttering, a hummingbird which he taught to sing the lyrics, and an owl whose grammar he improved by teaching it to say, "to whom."
Sophia Scupleberry, the 32-year-old burly buxom blonde from Surrey, created a new record at the annual prune eating contest in East London today. Urged on by a very rowdy band of supporters, Sophia consumed 374 prunes in the hour, breaking the existing record by 46. When interviewed from behind closed doors this morning, she apologised for her rapid departure from the auditorium stage, but hopes to be able to receive the trophy in about 5 days' time.
And a prominent Christchurch businessman, Mr. Henry Cracklebotham, has just returned from a buying trip to Hong Kong. While waiting for his flight to be announced at the Hong Kong airport, Mr. Cracklebotham was browsing in the airport bookshop, and a book entitled How to Woo took his eye, and he purchased it. On opening the book for an interesting read on the plane, he found that he had bought the second volume of the Hong Kong telephone directory.
Last Tuesday, the Royal Navy held a celebratory fancy dress ball on musical song titles at the huge naval barracks at Portsmouth. First prize of £1,000 was awarded to a young woman from Brighton, Miss Greta Billingstone, who wore a large maternity jacket emblazoned with the words, "I should have danced all night."
And a new art form is at present sweeping America. It involves a mirror placed under a chair with no seat in it, so you can draw your own conclusions.
Britain's strangest ever wedding took place in London today when a woman who used to be a man married a man who used to be a woman. I think that makes sense. Can I read it again? Britain's strangest ever wedding took place in London today when a man who used to be a woman married a woman who used to be a man. The bride's mother used to be a male nurse, the best man used to be the bridesmaid, and even the wedding cake started life out as a French tart.
Two Irish ladies were talking yesterday on the telephone. "Did you hear about Mrs. Clancy having quadruplets?" said Mrs. O'Leary. "I understand that only happens once every 60,000 times. "Glory be," said Mrs. Lafferty. "When does she get her housework done?"
And finally, in this late evening bulletin, Jim Bolger, Prime Minister, flew to Wellington earlier this week and was met at the airport by his new chauffeur. "Good morning, Prime Minister," said the chauffeur, opening the car door very wide. Prime Minister Bolger looked at him and asked him, "What is your name, my good man?" "Charles, sir," he replied. "I'm sorry," said Jim Bolger. "Now that I'm Prime Minister of New Zealand, I have an important office to perform, and it wouldn't be at all appropriate to call you by your Christian name." I'm often accompanied by dignitaries and officials from many countries, so you do understand, don't you? What is your surname, by the way? Darling, Mr. Prime Minister. Oh, said Jim Bolger, in that case, drive on, Charles.
That concludes the late evening news read by right pair of Charles.
And that's all things. Ladies and gentlemen, as the house lights come on now, it's our final sing-along and 3 songs from the halcyon days of music hall. Beginning first with I'll Be Your Sweetheart. Ladies and gentlemen, it's approximately 5 minutes left, so let's sing appropriately. Give me 5 minutes more. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to sing Give My Regards to Broadway because we usher in Broadway for our finale. So let's sing it with due gusto. Ladies and gentlemen, New York, New York, it's busy Manhattan skyline that canyons the streets below. The twin towers of the 110-story World Trade Center look down on Broadway, witnessing the birth pangs of musicals, shows, and dramas, all competing for survival. Ladies and gentlemen, our fitting finale, Manhattan, leading into the broader, tantalizing, tormenting, tempestuous New York, New York.
Thank you. be a part of it. Here we are.